Right, there we go on this beautiful Monday evening. Such an awesome privilege to greet you in the wonderful name of our Lord Jesus Christ. And to him be all the glory and all the honor. We want to say hello to all of our listeners from right across the world. So awesome. Just earlier on in this program, we had Sonia greeting us all the way from, believe it or not, she lives in Jerusalem in Israel, still tuning into Radio Pulpit. So awesome to say hello to our listeners all the way there in Perth in Australia, who's tuning in this early hours of the morning. And then, of course, Chris calls again and on his night shift, tuning in this evening. Such a privilege to welcome you this evening to Radio Pulpit and Cape Pulpit, from Gauteng to the Cape. And for the next hour, I've got the privilege of being in your company. So I want to invite you firstly to go to Radio Pulpit's Facebook page right now. You'll see two beautiful faces on Facebook right now. And you can also go to my personal Facebook page. We'll be sharing all the links. And you can go join the chat and giving comments and asking questions on the Facebook page, as well as sending me a WhatsApp. Our social media channels are open, 082 657 2729. And I am so excited to introduce our guests for this evening. And I must say, earlier on in this program, when we spoke about sports, my co-host Rake said, it's so nice when people stand up after they have fallen. And this is exactly what this evening is all about. So before I give you the entire scoop, let's first just greet the person. And then after that, I'll give you the scoop on exactly who this person is. This evening, I'm joined by Darren Thomas, who's joining us live, I believe, I think from Cape Town. Darren, my friend, how are you this evening?
Dwain, fine and you. Thanks for having me on.
It's so nice having you. You are joining us from Cape Town, right?
Yes, I am.
Right. Well, it's nice to see the Springbok jersey there in the background.
Of course, yeah. Yeah, it was given to me by a friend who used to play quite well. Was the 2007 World Cup jersey. So,
oh, come on, you can't just do that to us. Come on,
I'll give you. It was Brian Abana. No, he actually came to see me in hospital. My incident happened on just 2 nights after the World Cup final. So when he got back, he actually came to see me with a jersey and signed by all the players. And so it was a nice gesture. It's got no photo proof or anything else. It's just a personal gift, and it hangs there, and I kind of hang it proudly, and it's got a lot of sentimental value. So,
well, you've got an awesome story behind you there on the wall, and the whole country is raving about what happened this weekend, whether Odricus still knocks Du Plessis. But
I know.
Did you watch the fight? Did you enjoy that though?
Yes, yeah. I'm a big fight fan, so I did watch it and I did enjoy it. We have to enjoy it when the South African wins, you know.
Yeah, well, you know what? We spoke about this in the previous show just before you came on air. There's actually talks now of them bringing that to South Africa. I don't know about you.
Well, that's it. Yes.
I'm to be there.
Yeah. Oh no, 100%. That's when I pull in the favors of the friends in high places, you know. So we have to be there. So.
Well, I just want to make sure we understand each other, because I'm one of those friends now. So when you get those things, you got to hook me up as well, huh?
Okay, good. We can make a deal.
All right. Well, Darren, just between myself and you, the world knows about Dricus Du Plessis and what he did, and we know about the Springboks. But I'm of opinion that what you did was well, I don't want to discredit Dricus, don't get me wrong, because he worked his butt off to get there. But you did something quite amazing as well, and you made your own part of history in what you did over in the States. So before we get to that story, how's it to be back in South Africa?
Yeah, it's good. It was a long trip. Yes, about a 22-hour flight. The one back was about 20 hours. So the jet lag on the way back is not a pretty thing. The way there, you kind of gain time, and on the way back you lose time. So it's and I'm feeling it.
Well, you've only been back, I think, 2 days now, isn't it?
It's been a few days. Yeah, I think we arrived back on Friday. Yeah, so it's just a few days in.
All right. So I think before we get started, you got to allow me just a few minutes to read a few things. Earlier on, I showed my wife the media resources that I downloaded in preparation for this evening. I believe that I got to show respect to my guest, so I did a bit of my research, And one of the things
thanks.
that my wife pointed out was the size of your upper arm is more or less the size of my upper leg.
Okay.
So you use your upper body quite a lot. I want to read this to you guys. For me, this is actually quite profound. I've got a photo here in front of me of you with a medal in your hand with the South African flag behind you. If you are joining us on social media, you can actually go check that out. But I got the press release, and I want to spend some time on the press release. For me, this is quite amazing because you made history. You made history in Miami, and that history is South Africa para-athlete Darren Thomas has made history at the first adaptive male CrossFit athlete from Africa to win bronze at the Wodapalooza in Miami, showcasing resilience and determination in the face of paralysis. You are paralyzed. That's correct.
Yes, yeah. From the chest down, so quite high up. It's quite a high injury. So yeah, it's kind of that left me when we get to the story, but it's from the chest down, so it's no core and kind of core activation or anything like that. So, but thank God I have the use of my arms, and so I'm still able to lift things and do things, and so that's one of the blessings out of the whole thing.
Well, Darren, I think we should fall with the door into the room because this afternoon when we spoke and I went onto your WhatsApp, I saw your pic there. The slogan on your WhatsApp says, "Only by His grace." You are an absolute believer, and you believe that because of God, you are where you are. Correct?
Yes, that's true. I don't think. Well, I know I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Him. In many different ways, but certainly of what happened and what happened post my injury in that as well. So it's been a journey, but one that I could never have done without Him. And I don't know how people do it, but I wouldn't have been able to.
Well, before we get to your achievement, the paragraph that I've got in front of me, says, despite facing a life-altering event in 2007, where an armed housebreaking incident left Darren paralyzed from the chest down, Darren's spirit and dedication has led him to this moment in his life of having international recognition. Let's go back to 2007 and fill us in on the journey and what happened in 2007.
Okay, so like you, I also did a bit of research on you, and I see that you were also a rugby player, and so I did the same, and my goal was to be a Springbok one day. Obviously, being friends with Brian and him getting there, and kind of hoping to play with the guys. I played a little bit with him and some of the other guys that played in that time. Ended up playing Lion Sevens to try and get a door into the 15s. And yeah, I think with that I also did kickboxing and stand-up kickboxing, and that's why I say I'm a fight fan. I used to train with a lot of the guys that are now ex-fighters, and so I was active. I was always busy, always active in the gym every other day, and in 2007, like I said, it was the Rugby World Cup on the Saturday evening, and on the Monday evening there were 6 guys that broke into my family home, and they came into the house. My dad, my mom and dad were upstairs, and I had like a kind of a different wing to the house with a kind of a lounge and a bedroom area, and the guys came in. My dad warned me. He picked up the intercom and he called me and told me that there were guys at the gate. But we didn't know that there were already some in the house. And I don't remember anything. I woke up 40 minutes before that. I had a little puppy that I'd bought for my girlfriend that was staying with me. Puppy woke me up barking. I thought I was just being paranoid because the Thursday night before that, the guys had actually come to the house as well. They came there at 9 o'clock. My dad heard commotion, heard the dog barking the whole time. And eventually, the 4th time when he went outside, he actually took his gun outside, which he doesn't normally do. And when he walked up the back of the yard and turned the corner, there were guys that shot at him. And he fired back and ran inside, and they ran away. That was Thursday evening, and then the next Monday evening, Tuesday early morning, they came back. So that was about 3 a.m. So I didn't remember anything, but the story kind of goes that the guy, my dad, found me in my bedroom. So what we think is that they opened the door into me. I had bruises and scratches all the way up my arms. I mean, I was a big guy, rugby fighter, weighed about 100 kilos. So I must have got into a fight with him. They say the one guy stabbed me in the head with a screwdriver, and then the other guy shot me point blank in the chest. The bullet missed my heart by a millimeter, because as he fired, my heart contracted. The bullet went past and it released again. It hit my lung, ruptured my lung, hit my spine, and the bone fragments went into the spinal cord. And that's what left me paralyzed. And so they ended up leaving, and when my dad came down, once they were gone, he saw that he actually thought they'd shot me in the head because there was so much blood. But it turns out that was just from the screwdriver, and luckily it was just a superficial wound. It didn't get any entry, And so he had to rush me to hospital and wait for the armed response guys to arrive, and had to rush me to hospital just because I was losing too much, and obviously because my lung was ruptured, So yeah, I mean, the guys took a TV, a cell phone, a wallet, and a laptop, and that was that. So got away with. And they dropped the wallet in the driveway, and that was that. So you would have given them that stuff, but I obviously wanted to protect my family. They were trying to get up to the top, and so I wouldn't have done it any other way, I guess. But yeah, that's what happened. So that's why today we are where we are. Obviously, it's been a long journey, but that's the incident,
So the incident then left you paralyzed from the waist down.
From the chest,
From the chest down. But from 2007 until 2021, when you discovered your love for CrossFit and stuff like that, what happened between then? Was there a relationship with Jesus leading into this incident? Did you form a brand new relationship with Christ during the thing? Where did your journey with God begin?
So thank God, my parents have always been, they've always gone to church, and they've always been believers, and so was I. Barring being a naughty boy when I was young at times, and rebelling and doing whatever, but at the time it happened, I was a full-on believer, and nothing had changed, and so I think, I know going into that, I just had a faith that really took me through. I think, like, it wasn't my faith. It definitely wasn't my faith. It was definitely God working through me, because I don't think I would have done that in my own strength. I can tell you, I know that I wouldn't have done it in my own strength. And really, that's what took me through, because I just believed every single day that tomorrow would be better. We were believing for complete healing, and every day believed that tomorrow I would walk, and tomorrow I would walk. And I think having that belief, I look back at it today, and sometimes I look back in some situations, I'll be sitting and thinking, you were a real fool to think you're going to walk every day. But if I think back at it, if I didn't have that, then I don't know if I would have made it, because I was always looking forward to getting through and getting better each day and walking the next day. And so it didn't happen. I wanted the hero story of walking out of the hospital, and it never happened. But there were many other things that did happen. I think I was in ICU for about a week, and then the general ward for 2 weeks, and then I had to go sit in a rehab for 3 months. And in that rehab, they basically teach you how to do everything again, teach you how to sit up straight, how to transfer to a wheelchair, transfer to a car, get in the bath, the shower. You got to relearn everything that you've once known, because now you've lost your balance completely. I'll never forget my biggest challenge in the hospital was the physio would put me in a lazy boy from the bed, and the goal was to try and sit up without passing out for 5 minutes. And I mean, I would just faint and pass out, because obviously your body now has been, your circulation, everything's changed, your blood pressure drops, and so that was the first challenge that I had to overcome. Sitting up for 5 minutes without passing out. And so when I think back and I look at today, I think there's quite a big jump that's happened, and a lot to be thankful for. But yeah, it wasn't always easy. Definitely wasn't always easy. I had a great support system. My girlfriend was with me every day at the rehab. My parents were there, and I had a lot of friends that were there for me. And so having that, and obviously, at night I would listen to either different pastors, or I'd listen to sermons, or I'd listen to music, or I'd read stuff. I just try and put in positive stuff every night, so that I can have that positive outcome and positive mindset of just moving forward and not looking at things to be the worst.
All right, so Darren, please correct me if I'm wrong, but in my research and checking out some photos and stuff, I believe you're married and you've got 2 kids.
Yeah. So the girlfriend that hung around is the girlfriend that eventually married, and she stuck around even after I told her to leave. She refused, and yeah. So we've had 2 beautiful kids, have been absolute miracles and blessings that by medical kind of standards should never have happened, but they're here, and so that's why we know that they're real blessings, and yeah, I mean, just having that support, having her stay by me every day, and I try to chase her away because I told her that she deserved more and she needed to have a better life, and she was having none of it. So thank God for that, and she stuck around, and so here we are.
Well, I actually told my wife a similar thing. I told her that you can have a better life elsewhere, and she said, "But you are my life."
Yeah,
And
well,
that's something
exactly.
that actually stuck quite deep into my soul when my wife said, "But you are my life, so how can I expect you to go find another life?" And your hats off to your wife. And I think you've got 2 beautiful kids. I said it's 1 boy and 1 girl. How lucky can you be? One of each.
Yeah, I know. We got lucky there. We did.
They went with you guys overseas recently, right?
They did, yes, sure. I am sure. It was a blessing to take them with. We had some friends overseas that contributed to accommodation and keeping them there, and so being able to take them with was just was a game changer. It really was, just having them there and having that support. And I think my daughter, she's 10 years old, but I think she's a 10-year-old me now. The way she acts, and she just wants to achieve and be the best at everything. So I've never heard anybody scream so loud in my life. And when I watch back the videos, all you hear is her. She even almost lost her voice. So when I was doing the workouts and I heard her screaming for daddy, how do you give up then?
Right, so just to fill in our listeners and to fill in all of our guests tuning in wherever you are tuning in, you just came back with a bronze medal at the international Wodapalooza Games in Miami. That is the international CrossFit Games. How did your passion for CrossFit start, and how did it end up at an international stage where you got a medal?
So in 2021, I think it was, they introduced the CrossFit Open to the adaptive division for the first time. Now, South Africa is obviously has become quite big on CrossFit, but does not have a big CrossFit, adaptive CrossFit kind of, attendance. There aren't a lot of people doing it. And so I actually, my old kickboxing trainer was he had moved to Cape Town. And when I moved here about 7 years ago, I actually called him to say, listen, I want to hit some pads again because I've got a standing chair that I stand up in and I can still hit pads. And so he said, great, come to the gym, we'll do some stuff. And he was actually at a CrossFit gym, and he started doing some CrossFit stuff with me, which was really cool. And it was different, because I'd been in the gym all the time, and I played a bit of basketball before I had my daughter. The thing is, I enjoyed it because it gave me that competitiveness again, that being able to play a sport. And when we had my daughter, the time was just, we had practices 3 times a week at 7 o'clock at night, and the weekends were the game. So I stopped playing so that I could spend time with her, and so I just went to the gym in that time otherwise. And so when I started doing this in 2021, when they introduced the Open, I thought, well, hey, let me try this. It's adaptive. I'm pretty strong. Let me see if I can do this. And I entered the Open, and it's an online thing. Obviously, you have to record your workouts and thing. And then I started seeing that I was actually maybe a little bit competitive. I could be with the top 25, top 30 guys. And I thought, hey, and I drove my wife absolutely crazy because that competitive spirit in me was like awoken again. So I was obsessed. That first weekend, I was checking the whole time what these guys were getting for scores and what the workouts were, and she was just like, "What are you doing? What do you think about it? CrossFit, the good old saying is, how do you know someone does CrossFit? It's because they tell you, and it's all I was doing and all I was thinking about. So she was going mad, but it was just having that ability to compete again, whether it be online or something, just showing, because that's in my blood, to win. I want to be able to win. I want to be able to compete and get better. And competing against yourself in the gym is one thing, but being able to compete against other people, that's really where it lights up. So I did that, and then since then I've just kind of I went to a gym. I joined a gym prior, and we did some stuff, and then I moved to another gym, and it really just changed everything. The gym that I moved to, the guy just said to me, "Look, what do you want to do?" I said to him, "Look, I'd like to get somewhere. I want to do it obviously not just for fun, but I want to see if I can compete and see if I can get maybe one day overseas. Who knows, And he was like, "Okay, well, if you want to do that, then let's take it seriously. I'll get someone and I'll assign someone to be there for you when you come. They'll train you. They'll be there to pick up weights and hold you and whatever else." And there was a youngster, about 16 years old, starting to work at the gym, and he was the one who assigned to me. And a couple of years later, that youngster was my coach, and he came with me. And because he started knowing everything I needed and everything I had to do. Like, he knew what to do and when to do and how to hold. And we've been training for a couple of years now.
That's the young man on the photo, right?
That's him. Yes, his name's Jonathan, and he, he really, I just started getting into it with him, and there were some movements that I couldn't do, and he's one of the only people that I was trying to do a ring muscle up, which is by any standards difficult, but for someone with no core and no function from the chest down is about 10 times harder. And we were trying, and he actually just said to me, let me get in your chair, and see what I can do.
Yeah.
And then and he got in the chair and he just tweaked one or two movements. And as he did them, he told me what to do, and I climbed back in the chair and I did it immediately. So, just a lot of insight, and him just doing things like that was amazing. It got us to be able to do a lot of the workouts. But are you still there? I think I lost your picture.
I'm still there. You can go for it.
Okay, great. Great. Okay. And then I think what happened was I started going to all these online competitions, because everything's online. There's no competitions in South Africa where I've been on the floor with another guy. There's just been one recently in December in Joburg. But there's been no competitions where you can be on the floor with other people competing. And they've all been online. I've been submitting my stuff. But Wodapalooza was the big one because it's the first competition that has included all the adaptives and all the divisions on one stage with able-bodied. And when adaptive was introduced by them, they said, bring everybody and we'll do it, And because they put everyone on the same stage, it just made it so much more appealing for me because they're including everyone, and they want everybody there, and you're on the same stage as all the elite athletes in the world, And so my goal was, say, let's go. It's the biggest CrossFit fitness festival in the world. It's probably the biggest competition behind the CrossFit Games, which is the decider of who's fittest, But this really was a massive thing for me to try and qualify for. And so last year, the qualifiers, we had to hand in all our videos in September. But the year before that, I tried and I actually injured my arm. I tore a tendon in my forearm a week out, and I wasn't able to qualify. And so this last year I did it, and we waited for the mail, and I received a mail to say that I've qualified, and then it was like reality hit,
But now the big question: reality hit, and you just came from international games where you got a third medal. Is the drive in you to pursue that gold, or are we returning to these games, or what's up?
So it was a tough lineup, and it's been I always knew it was going to be very difficult because in adaptive, there's more than one division. Normally, there's this thing you get called the wheel wad games, and those guys are just adaptive, and they scale everything. And so you have a seated with hip and a seated without hip. And the thing that happens is a seated with hip means it's a guy who's got core function and he's got abs and he can move his hips and sometimes his legs, but still works out in a wheelchair. And then without hip is anything from the waist up, and that would be me. And so I was against two freak athletes that were with hips. One of the guys was an amputee, and the other guy is a Paralympic swimmer, but he's able to move more of his body. And another guy as well that did the same. And I just thought, I thought I was going to compete. I thought I'm going to give my best and do my best. And so coming out of the bronze for me was, sure, it's like still surreal. Sitting there and hearing my name being called, I was just like, I knew I was fighting for third place. But sure, yeah. So my next goal, I mean, if we're talking about where I want to go from here, the CrossFit Games are, I think, in September, and they've actually been split adaptive only to elite only, and so it'll be more scaled, and the divisions will be split up more, and they'll have their own coverage and everything. So it wasn't as exciting to me because it's not everybody in the same place, but it is much more focused on the adaptive. So if you wanted to watch it, you'd be able to watch the whole comp. When we were in Miami, they only really streamed one of our workouts, so you only were able to see it if someone was there streaming it for you. Like my wife, she was holding the live video up at all hours of the morning for people in South Africa to watch, which was amazing, and so she didn't always have the best angles, but you could basically see what was happening, so. But it was, when I got there, it was everything I expected and more. Just everything was bigger, everything was better, and the lights and the production, and being able to be on the floor with the best athletes in the world, guys that you watch at the CrossFit Games, and you think, geez, and then you're rubbing shoulders with them in the winner's circle. I kind of was in disbelief.
So the CrossFit Games, you say, is the September. Where will this happen? In what country?
That'll be in Texas. So also overseas. So that'll be the next goal and the next travel we hope for to qualify for. And then if we qualify, then hopefully we can go and maybe do the country proud again and get better than bronze.
Well, I'm not even concerned about you qualifying. You'll qualify. I just want to know what's the goal. And I'd like to jump on board with just following your journey and following your story, and maybe perhaps do another interview at a later stage leading up to the World CrossFit Games. And after that, what I like the most about you this afternoon, when we spoke off in preparation for this evening, I had to just touch base with you just to find out, are you a believer and stuff like that? And you almost, I don't want to say your answer was arrogant, which is really not the case, but you were very, if it wasn't for God, I would not be here.
Yes. I just had to let you know that, Yeah.
Well, I love that. Before I say goodbye to you, Darren, do you still have some time available to continue the chat?
Of course, yeah.
So this is what I'm going to do. Earlier on, I asked you, what is one of your favorite Christian songs? And you mentioned a band called Elevation Worship. All right. Yeah. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to open up our WhatsApp line now. And I'd like to invite people to ask you a few questions, if that's okay with you. Yeah, so I'm going to play one of my favorite songs also from Elevation Worship, which means that you have an opportunity of 4 minutes just to take a breather. If you are joining us on Facebook or on live streaming, please, there's a banner at the bottom of the wall going that says, please stay tuned. We are listening to a song on air right now. We'll be back after the song. We may not play the song on social media, but we will be playing the song on the airwaves of Radio Pulpit. Okay, so when we then get back, myself and Darren will continue the chat, because I want to ask him what message he has for youngsters who wants to give up in life. Because you got to listen to someone that stood up from this devastating thing that happened in 2007. So, Darren, let's take a break. This is one of your favorites, Elevation Worship, called Do It Again. And when we are back, the two of us will continue the discussion. Right, here we go. Walking around these walls. There we go. Elevation Worship. Do it again. Very ironic. This is one of the songs that we played in church on Sunday. This was one of the requests that people had. And then Darren also said Elevation Worship is one of his favorites. Darren, as I listen to that song, Do It Again, and your promise still stands, and great is your faithfulness. And looking at your journey and looking at your story, you are without a doubt someone that can testify to the presence of God pulling you through this huge thing, and you are today one of the champions of the world. You can probably testify to God's grace in your life.
Yeah, definitely. Look, I mean, I think there were times after that happened, like everybody goes through tough times, and it's not, the journey is not always one with sunshine and rainbows, and as much as we believe, we know there's always going to be adversity, and there's going to be tough times, and that's where we obviously have to pull from where we pull to get through those things, And I think for me, I went to that place. I went to a very difficult place where I was ready to give up, and I in sitting and having made a decision and in contemplation, I sat and I just started getting these thoughts come to me. And I still believe it was God speaking to me, just saying to me, "What are you thinking? How can you do this? Look at what you still have. Look at the people who love you. They're not there. They're not struggling. They love you. They're doing it because they love you. Because my thoughts were, I'm sick of watching my girlfriend pick up my heavy chair and put it in the boot. I'm sick of having my dad to have to help me with everything. And people, it's not good for them, and they must be getting, so my reasons were not all selfish, and that's the mind playing those tricks on you. And I think I just got these thoughts just kind of saying, these people love you, like you here, you can still sit and enjoy company of people, you can still love, you can still be loved, you still have all these people that care about you, like there's so much more that you can still do and that you have to live for, and it was just a wake-up call. And I think that was really God speaking to me, that just pulled me out of that place. And I've never been back there. It's been up and down, and we've been valleys and mountains, but I've never been back to a point where I'm ready to give up, and I think just by the another song by Elevation that I always listen to is that Millions of Miracles. If you think of all I may not be walking yet, and I still believe that it's going to happen one day, however it happens, but I may not be there yet, but in the time that I'm believing, and I still believe and still have faith, I want to live my life to the full and be able to just show people that giving up doesn't have to be an option. There's just so much more we have to live for, and there's so much more you can do. And I think being given a second chance at life for me, winning this bronze on an international stage is amazing. It's incredible. It's an achievement that I surprised myself with, but I also know that I wouldn't have got there if it wasn't for God and if it wasn't for my family. And just having that force behind me to push me through. And I think being on an international stage and these articles that come out, my hope from it is that people see more than just a medal, and that they see that through adversity you can achieve so much. Remember when I said to you that my biggest challenge was sitting in a lazy boy for 5 minutes. Now I got a bronze medal at a CrossFit competition, international, with the best athletes on earth. I mean, it doesn't, when you think about it, it's just got to come from somewhere.
Well, I've got a series of questions here in front of me that sent through our listeners. But this afternoon, when I spoke to you off air, I also said that I would like to allow the Holy Spirit to manifest and the Holy Spirit to take over in our show. So there's a series of questions in front of me, and some of them are spiritually bound. Others of them are not spiritually bound. I'd like to just stay in this moment right now, because I'd like us to address something of a bunch of teenagers that wrote a message on the network asking, Darren, can you give me reasons why shouldn't I give up? Now, my perspective of what you went through is, if someone had a reason to quit, with all due respect, I probably think you had ample reason to quit. knowing you'll never walk again. Well, sorry, that's what the doctor said. I believe God can
Yeah,
still
exactly.
you. But knowing that you got all of this devastating news, yet you've got a bunch of teenagers, a bunch of young adults, 21, 22, 23-year-olds, that's got an able body, that's got arms, that's got legs, that's got every reason to live life. What do you tell them if they say they want to give up and they don't want to continue in life?
You know, it's always a tough one because I always look and I look at people who want to give up and by when someone says to you, but there's nothing wrong with you, you're fine, you know, and you telling this guy in a wheelchair that you want to give up, but there's nothing wrong with you. I believe that everyone has their own mountain to climb, and I know that there's a lot of mental issues and there's a lot of things that come into life and into play, and I just think that, you know, if I can get through what I did when, you know, my dreams were crushed, wanting to be a rugby player and wanting to be a kickboxer, I lost my identity completely. I didn't know who I was anymore. You know, I wasn't a rugby player. I wasn't a kickboxer. I was a guy in a wheelchair, and for a while, I struggled to. I lost a lot of confidence, and I struggled to kind of carry on. You know, and just losing that identity of who I was and who I was going to be. And I think nothing ever changed the person who was inside me, and people knew that. You know, I was still the same guy, whether I was able to do things or not. And I think for people who who want to give up, the biggest thing is like you've got to know that you're capable of so much more than what you think. And you know, with getting the right people behind you, and if you have God in your life and you have God behind you, you know, to be able to just look at it and think, you know, we've got a lot to live for. You've got to take what you have and use it as best you can, you know. And I think the big problem is these days is social media and everyone comparing. And the minute you're going to compare yourself to other people, you're always going to fall short because there's always somebody who's projecting a life that perhaps is not true, you know. And you find yourself doing it. You find yourself comparing to someone and say, "Oh, look how well he does, and how this," you know. And that's really a dangerous place to be, because when you do compare yourself then to many people, they can feel smaller and look less, you know. And I think just to know that if I can do it, if I can come from wake up, I mean, I wake up every morning, I can give you 1,000 excuses as to why I don't want to face the day, you know, about wanting to get up and anything, but I've got a reason to be here. You know, I've been given a second chance. I'm here. I'm alive. I have the ability to speak to people, to be loved by people, to love people, and to do, you know, everything I can to the best of my ability. And I have children that watching me every morning. And if Dad gives up, then what are they going to think? You know, if I lie in bed and I decide that I'm not getting up today, then they'll see that, you know. And I see that in them. I see that they have a spirit of never giving up, because they see that I won't give up, because I'll do it for them. You know, I do it for the people who love me. And so it's hard, but you know, if you can go through adversity where your life is cut off and your legs are cut off, or whatever you want to say, you know, but you can push through. You know, you really can. But you have to get the right people behind you. You've got to get around people that are going to pick you up, and that are going to push you forward, and not people that are going to bring you down and be negative and tell you, no, it's over, it's enough. You know, you have to surround yourself with that. And I think, you know, just for me, that's why I said I wouldn't be able to do it without God, because looking to Him, He's the one who pulls me through when no one else can. You know, when it's just me and I'm alone, and then that's where I go.
Yeah, and I do believe that's where you got to make a conscious decision that you got to surround yourself with the right people. And I often tell people that one of the hardest things to do is sometimes to even get out of the circle of family members, especially when certain family members pull you down. So you've got a relationship with Jesus Christ. And there's an artist called Chris Tomlin, who's one of my favorites. My name's not Dwain Christopher van Rensburg. And my favorite artist is Chris Tomlin. And recently, when I read up on Chris Tomlin in preparation for something with Chris Tomlin, I discovered that his name is Chris Dwain Tomlin. And I am Dwain Chris from Rensburg. But Chris Tomlin sang a song. And his song is Good Father. And I want to once again go to some of the stuff that I see in front of the screen here with me. What do we tell a bunch of young men who does not have a father figure, that is not a good example. What do we tell young men whose fathers wants to constantly give up? Because my opinion is God is that good father. And you got to find the space where you look up to God and not to your earthly father. Um, you have a good relationship, of course, with well, your dad and with your heavenly father. What would you tell a youngster who does not have a good father figure on earth?
So it's difficult, and I think about it. I do think about it often. You see people who dads have left them, and I grew up with a father who was there and who was guiding me in the right way. And if you don't have that, it's very easy to get lost. And I think trying to get a father figure, again, you say, God is our heavenly father. But I think for some people it may be difficult because he's not physically there, and when I say physically there, you're not standing in front of him. But to go to him and to get into that space is also you sometimes may sit and feel like there's no answers, but but there are in the long term. But I think for me it's important to get around people like you said that have to pull you up and pick you up. And if it is family members that are bringing you down, you might not be able to completely exclude yourself from your family, but you are able to get out of the negativity and draw more to positivity and find someone who's in a space where almost they can be a mentor to you, and someone you can ask for advice and the right person that has that right attitude and has the right belief. And I think, whether it be church that you go to and you find someone, or you look up to other, mentors in terms of pastors and people like that. There's many people out there that you can do that, but it's a difficult question to answer just because of I've had my dad, and so I know what that's like. But I also know that getting yourself around the right people, I have a lot of people that I look up to and a lot of people that I would consider mentors, and I follow them and watch what they do, and that helps me as well.
I think ultimately, no one can make decisions for you except yourself. And you got to
Well,
make a
that's it.
conscious decision on surrounding yourself with the right people. I always tell people you don't have to be a smoker to be seen as a smoker. Just stand amongst the smokers when the general public drive past you, and you'll be seen as a smoker without you being a smoker. You got to
Yeah,
choose the right people because you rub off on each other.
exactly.
All right, so I've got a funny question now for you. I've got a young man asking how much hours a day do you practice and how often do you practice?
So I think my general training regime is like it's probably 2 hours a day. But when I'm really getting ready for competition or something like that, then I'll try to do two sessions of an hour and then 2 hours a day. I don't, my body's been through a lot. It's been many years of training, and so I don't kill myself. And because I'm not a paid athlete for a living, I don't get to train 3 times a day and eat all the right meals I want to. I still have to work. So a session early in the morning and then a bit later in the afternoon is kind of what keeps me going. But I'll train pretty much Monday to Saturday and maybe take a Sunday off. But coming up to competition, I'll definitely ramp it up and train more.
Right. Well, I think it's only fair given the fact that we are on a national radio station. I know that none of these things are possible without sponsors and people investing in your life. And as you mentioned, you were fortunate having your wife and both your kids with you at the international games. But how awesome is it to work along with people like Daytona Group, Lotto Star, and Moti Moves, sponsors like that? Would you like to take an opportunity to acknowledge those sponsors?
I would, and Daytona Group, a good friend of mine, Justin Devoris. I worked for him many years ago, and I sold some supercars and had some fun. And we've kind of we were. I wasn't great friends with him when I worked for him. He was my boss. I wished I was rather friends with him. I would have maybe been able to drive better cars on the weekend. But he was. He's kind of also been a mentor to me. He's a really successful entrepreneur. He's got a great story, and he's really just a great guy, and he was the first one to back me on this trip, and it was just amazing because we friends and we're not best friends. It's each other every day, but he believed in me. He's seen my journey, and he just said that he wants to get behind me, and then of course, Mark from Lotto Star, I met through Justin as well, and then Junaid, Marty from Marty Moves. They they all came to the party in quite a big way. And what I found out very quickly is that if I didn't have them, I would have been starving, because food in Miami is not cheap. And so it was a real blessing to get them behind me. I had another guy who was an independent sponsor, and he didn't want to give me a logo, and he didn't want recognition. His name is Ramsey Monsieur. He's a fantastic guy, and he really also just got behind me in quite a big way. And without them, it would have really been impossible to get there. And so, yeah, I mean, the costs, the dollar to the rand, we know is quite something. And so, yeah, to do it self fund something like that is difficult, especially if you have to take your coach with you, because obviously my coach went with me. And yeah, and so from them, I'm so grateful to them, and having companies like that back me. You know, they're great companies and just run by great people, and that's the thing for me, is their values are in the right place, and they valued me, you know, and that means a lot to me. So.
Well, I believe that you should get more traction from your achievement in Miami. And I really pray to God that God will provide, especially leading up to the World Championships in September back in the US. I personally do feel it's maybe something we don't have to discuss on air, maybe something we can discuss off air. I can make perhaps a few phone calls, because I don't understand why Sascock cannot get on board with us. It's a national sport.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that off.
I think that'll be a conversation for there.
Yeah, but maybe I can pull a few strings. But listen, Darren, before we go,
yes.
I've got a tradition, and when we meet up at some stage and we get to know each other a bit better, and whenever you're in Gauteng, please pop in. You'll get to know me and you'll understand who I am. I'm a child of God, and I don't care who thinks what of me. I will proclaim the name of Jesus Christ wherever I go. I'll one day tell you my testimony as well.
Yes.
But I want to say goodbye to you, but I want to pray for you, if that's okay with you.
Yes, definitely. Thank you.
I'm gonna pray for you, and then I'm gonna greet you. I'm gonna greet our listeners, and then we're actually gonna play out with Passion's good Father. So, Darren, can I pray for you? Is that fine?
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Right, let's quickly pray. Lord, I want to thank you for this opportunity this evening to. Thank you for the opportunity that we have as a nation, all our listeners across South Africa, that heard the story of Darren. And he had every reason to give up. But just like your son, Jesus Christ, who fell 13 times but stood up 14 times, Darren is an amazing example to the world of teenagers and to the world of all of us, not just teenagers, of not staying down and standing up. Lord, I want to pray that through this bronze medal, you will create attraction for Darren on social media, that you will provide the funds for him to go to bigger stages, to world stages, so that you can create the platform for him to tell about the goodness and the grace of Jesus Christ. Lord, I want to pray that you will inspire him and his family through everything that they do, and that they will glorify your name and give you all the glory for everything. Lord, thank you for this awesome evening with Darren. And thank you, Lord, that we can call you our good Father. It's been an awesome privilege spending with you this evening. Enjoy this one. This is good Father.